efficient perception of reality. Are we able to read reality with all its transparency? What we hear from others or what we read in a book, does it show us a clear image of reality? We're talking about efficient perception of reality. For example, let me say one word. Love God. This is reality. You must love God. So what is your perception? How would you love God? What exactly does it mean? When I was a child, no, not a child, I mean a youngster, a teenager, I was in my college. My lecturer would tell me, in order to give the right answer, you must first fully understand the question. If you don't understand the question well, you will never give a good answer. So, we should know from authentic sources what is the true perception of reality. For example, God. And how many people have true perception of the reality of God? How many Muslims have true perception of Islam? And how many Christians have true perception of Christianity? And how many Hindus have true perception of Hinduism? And how many people who belong to Sarkar Gohar Shahi do have true perception of His Holiness Gohar Shahi? How many people around the world who claim to belong to Sarkar Gohar Shahi have the true perception of the teachings of His Holiness Sarkar Gohar Shahi? So, in order to believe in reality, in order to benefit from the reality, we need to have an efficient perception of reality, without which our journey will be a complete waste. Okay, repeat after me. I often have a clear perception of reality. I am always trying to get at the real truth about people. Let's discuss this. Is this true? That I'm always trying to get at the real truth about people? We have become quite habitual of jumping to conclusions. In simple words, judgmental. We see somebody doing something silly and we say, oh, he's a silly man. But we do not know why that somebody was doing a silly thing. So do we have a clear perception and do we get at the truth of people before we pass our negative or positive remarks about them? If no, you cannot be a Sufi. You have to have an efficient perception of reality. Let me give you an example. There was a saint of God, Jamaluddin, rahmatullah alayh, Abu Jamal. He was a great saint of God. He narrates this story. Bayezid Bastami, rahmatullah alayh, he was a great mystic. And he was going through this spiritual austerity and vigorous form of physical worship and spiritual discipline, all sorts of different spiritual regimes that he was going through. And after a considerable time, he started to think that now I have become pure. So God sent this green man, Khidr alayhi salam, which is known to be Vishnu Maharaj in Hinduism. So Khidr alayhi salam went there to test him, to scrutinize him. What Khidr alayhi salam did was really, deceiving, sort of deceiving. Bayezid Bastami rahmatullah alayh saw that there is a man sitting at the bank of a river, and this man is holding a bottle which appears to be a bottle of alcohol, wine, from a distance, and there was a woman sitting in his lap. So Bayezid Bastami rahmatullah alayh, when he saw this scenario, he said to himself quietly in his heart, I am worse than everybody, but I think I am better than him, this guy, who has no modesty in his character, who has a woman sitting in his lap and who's holding a bottle of wine, and out in public he is enjoying himself. And suddenly the guy called his name and said, there is a boat in the river which has capsized, and there are 5 people, they will die. If you think you're better than me, go jump and save people. And he was trying his hardest and he couldn't save any. Then Khidr alayhi salam jumped into the river and he saved all 5 of them. And he said to Bayezid Bastami rahmatullah alayh, look, I am Khidr, I am not a sinner, and this bottle, which you think is a bottle of alcohol, it's water. And this woman is my sister. This was a test. He was deceived by his own perception of reality. Right? He was deceived. Now let's talk about Lord Jesus Christ. On the cross, as it appeared in the Quran, on the cross, there was somebody. The Quran said, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ, Jesus was not killed. وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ, neither was he crucified. وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. He wasn't crucified, he wasn't killed, but they were trapped in the perception of reality. They were trapped in the perception of reality. God said he wasn't killed, he wasn't crucified, but what happened there was somebody on the cross which appeared very similar in appearance to Jesus Christ, but he wasn't Jesus Christ. They thought, according to their perception of reality, that Jesus was crucified. This is how it appeared to them, and this is how they perceived it, which has nothing to do with reality. This is perception of reality, not reality. And this is what we do every day. If you're talking to a woman, people will think, oh, they're having an affair, because the affair is in your brain. If you have an unclear perception about everything, you suffer from the deficit of true perception of reality. How do you see reality? Do not see reality with the perception of your own glasses. You need to see reality with a divine perception. How reality must be seen. And that will happen. Your perception about reality will be authenticated when your heart is enlightened, when your eyes are enlightened, when your mind is enlightened. Mindfulness is something that is either completely negative or completely positive. If the devil is controlling your brain, then you're mindful, but in an evil way. And if the Lord is controlling your brain, then you're mindful in a positive, in a good way. As a Sufi, one must be trained to have a clear and true perception of reality. We see vendors who do not even know what spirituality is. We see vendors, strangers, who do not even know what Sufism is. We see wanderers and strangers who talk about the Quran, Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, Christianity, Judaism, and we are suffering from their fabricated perception of Islam. We are suffering from their fabricated perception of Hinduism, from their fabricated perception of Christianity and Judaism. And now we're suffering from their fabricated perception of the reality of Sufism. We need to have a true perception of reality. What happened before Ghaiba in Pakistan in the name of Sarkar Sayyidina Imam Mahdi Gohar Shahi? People were deceived. Wrong perception was preached to the following of His Holiness Sarkar Gohar Shahi. And they believed what they saw with their eyes. But in Sufism, my friend, do not ever forget the principles of Sufism. In Sufism, you rely upon your spiritual master. You do not rely on your ears. What you hear. If you want to become enlightened, do not rely on your ears. Do not rely on your eyes. You think what you see is the truth? No, not always. Not always. Maybe what you see is one aspect of the truth, and you are completely heedless of the remaining aspects of the truth. But you see one aspect of the truth and you become judgmental. And there is an error in your judgment. So in order to become a Sufi, you need a true perception of reality. A lot of people in Pakistan say there is a grave of His Holiness Sarkar Gohar Shahi in Kotri Sharif. Of course, there is a grave. But grave is a grave. It has nothing to do with Sarkar Gohar Shahi. Then why there is a grave? The grave is a result of a false, misleading perception of reality relating to His Holiness Gohar Shahi. Like those individuals who were there at the time of Jesus, and when they saw somebody who appeared to look like Jesus, a lookalike of Jesus, they thought it was Jesus on the cross. In a similar way, there are those who saw somebody, very similar appearance, very similar, not a lookalike, and they thought that the Lord is dead. If you're dead, you're not a Lord. If you're a Lord, you can never be dead. It's all about the perception of reality. Every single human head has this tendency of fabricating a perception of his own about the reality, which necessarily has nothing to do with reality. We carve our own perception according to our own understanding, according to our own information, whether or not the information is authentic. So we need to have a true perception of reality. And how will we get to the true perception of reality? His Holiness Gohar Shahi said, do not talk about it. Access the truth. Access the truth. Mingle with the truth. Get to the bottom of the truth. And when you meet the truth in person, only then you will have true perception of reality. Not before that. Before this station in spirituality, you must rely upon the information that you receive from your spiritual master. Because he has arrived at the truth, and only he has the true perception of reality. Before you pass a remark about somebody, about some people, you must get to the truth about them. Do not say anything which is not reality. If you're a common man, you can do anything. But if you want to be a Sufi, then this is how you will become a Sufi. In order to become a Sufi, you have to have a true perception of reality. And this is very important. Now, this is water. If this is my perception, water is pure, naturally, and I'll drink water. And then I find out, oh, it's not pure. So I was deceived. By who? By my own perception about water being pure. Normally and naturally, water is pure. But what if something has been mixed with this water? Because the water is colorless. And if something colorless has been added to it, it is not visible. So my perception is about the basic purity of water, not knowing something must have been added to it. And I'm relying on my own perception about water. So my perception about water is deceiving me. Before I drink it, I know naturally, normally water is pure. But I do not know if somebody has touched this water. So in order to know and have the true perception of water, I must pass it through some tests. So this is true perception. Sometimes we see people and say, oh, he's very good. And later on we find out he's not good. And then our expectations. I'm in need. I'm a needy guy, and then one day Hafiz Farid comes and he gives me 500 pounds and he says to me, look, I know you're in need, so take this money and fulfill your needs. And if I expect next time when I am in problem, Hafiz Farid will come and give me another 500 pounds. This is now creating a false perception about reality. Because you think he is very rich. Maybe he sold some of his items at home in order to help you. And now maybe he hasn't got any money to help you out. But if you have developed a perception that Hafiz Farid is a very opulent and very well-off rich man, and every time I need money, Hafiz Farid should come and give me 500 pounds. I'm actually fabricating a perception which is, far away from reality. So expectations play a very important role in fabricating the perception. We have to keep check and balance about our expectations. So efficient perception of reality is very important. For example, there are many people who say, I am a guru. And many others will say, I'm a Sufi master. Right? And you don't know the reality of a Sufi master. Your only perception about reality of a Sufi master is that he must grow a beard and he should dress up like a Sufi. Right? And he is holy, that's all. Behind the closed door, what he does, nobody knows. So you need to have a true perception of reality. This is how people are being deceived all over the world. In the name of the religion, in the name of Sufism, in the name of spirituality. Sometimes in the name of Hinduism, people are being deceived. Sometimes in the name of Islam, people are being deceived. Sometimes in the name of humanity, people are being deceived. So many NGOs are working throughout the world, collecting donations in the name of humanity. But what is happening with that donation? They're living on those donations. So you need an efficient perception of reality. You are only judgmental when you do not have true perception of reality. If you have true perception of reality, you will never be judgmental. Your true perception of reality will stop you from being judgmental. That true perception will tell you, what do you know about it? Maybe he was doing this for this reason, or maybe he was doing this for that reason. So that reasoning will come from the true perception of reality. When you do not have the true perception of reality, only then you become judgmental and you pass judgment. this attitude of being judgmental is because of the reason that you do not have the true perception of reality.
TV, bringing light, love, and peace in your life.